Hey everybody, welcome back to Absolutely Marvel in DC. I'm Dylan, that is Sal, and welcome back to The Mandalorian Season 3 again.
Yeah, welcome to that Star Wars show that starring people who I guess hate Star Wars, apparently, according to the comments.
No, this is the Book of Boba Fett, Season 1, Episode 6.
6?
Which Boba Fett is in this one. But
he doesn't say anything.
He doesn't say anything. I just realized that when we were setting up. I was like, yeah, Boba Fett is in this one, but he doesn't say a single thing.
Doesn't say a damn thing. I still think we're heading towards that Godfather period. I hope so. I hope it's like Boba Fett kind of like eases into the role that fandom ascribed to him 25 years ago. Which is he's ruthless, he is savage, he is skilled, and he's silent.
Totally.
You know?
So we're gonna kind of go through this beat by beat because there's a lot to unpack in this episode. A lot.
Yeah,
happens.
there is. Yeah, a lot happens in this episode. A lot of work for Filoni for some show that he's making in his head. Like he did the same thing with Mandalorian, where he's like, "All right, so we're putting this character in here, we're setting this up," and it's like none of this pertains to Mandalorian, and none of this pertains to Boba Fett. He's just like every time that these characters show up, it's like Filoni has this idea of like what he wants to do, and I'm waiting for it to actually happen.
He's building a universe here. Stepping stones for 400 years in the future. So anyway,
past.
Despite that, I enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, it was fine.
We start off with Timothy Oliphant shows up again.
So great.
I love him. He's so great.
He's incredible. Does he look really thin to you? I don't know why, but like,
yeah.
I remember seeing him in his first appearance in Mandalorian and being like, Oliphant's thin. But in this one, I'm like, oh, he's really thin. Oh, no.
Doesn't have the
I hope
armor
he's okay.
anymore.
Yeah, I know. But he's just like, I've seen him in movies. Like, he doesn't seem that thin in, like, Die Hard 4, you know? It's
Maybe
weird.
He's
I was just like,
for a role.
I mean, he's doing the role now. He's the outlaw Josie Wales. He's amazing.
Yeah, he's very good. Not to skip ahead too much, but I hope he's not actually dead.
Me too. I don't think he is.
No.
They set that up. That's... Yeah,
I think for sure the deputy is dead, which I'm glad about because he was a pill.
Yeah, just a complete douche. No, they did that on purpose. Like he shot Oliphant once, shoots the deputy 16 times.
Like
that way, there's
times.
no question about it. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, he's great. The majority of this episode is friggin' Luke Skywalker, robot man himself. Training Grogu.
Yep.
So my this is probably gonna be the hot button thing for this episode because Luke talks a lot.
Yeah, he does.
And I think he looks pretty good. He sounds like dog shit.
That's the thing, right? Like, it's funny how in the last one, everyone's like, man, Luke looks like garbage, but he sounded okay. And now it's like, man, Luke looks a lot better than he did in the last one, and he sounds terrible. And as I remember, they were talking about how it's like an algorithm. Like, no one's voicing Luke. They're using like it's like whatever they call it. I don't remember now.
It's a text-to-speech.
Yeah.
It's like a deep fake for your voice.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's horrible. You can't, it's not, the technology, despite how much Disney wants the technology to be there, it's not there yet.
Yeah,
and
we're in the future. You're not there yet.
You're not. Like, and they keep doing it with Star Wars specifically. Like, they did it with Tarkin. And now
Leia,
they're doing it with Luke, Leia for sure. But like, now it's at the point where definitely like especially with deepfakes. Like, did you see the Corridor Digital video where they did the scene before, but they deepfaked it? It looked way better.
It looked better, but it didn't look as flawless as they reacted like it did. You know, they were like, "Oh, we nailed it." I'm like, he looks like the guy who's playing him. But no, I love those guys, so I like that. I definitely watched that. And as I understand it, like somebody else deepfaked him better, and so they like hired that guy. And so there's scenes that look great. You know, like when you first see him, you're like, okay, it looks a little better than the last time. But like the more he did stuff, the more I'm like, this is really convincing. Like you're doing a really good job.
I was like
you could get away with doing this.
He shows up, Luke shows up, and he's meditating with Grogu, so his eyes are closed, and the eyes are like, you know, that's if you can nail the eyes, we're over the valley. Like, you're fine.
It's all about the mouth. It's all about mouth movement.
Mouth too, for sure.
It's this for me. But yes, I think they nailed it. Like, not 100%, not to the point where I'm like, I couldn't
visually,
tell.
for sure.
But it's great. Like, he looks leaps and bounds better than he did in his first appearance in Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, he has to act and talk in this, and that's where it falls apart. To the point where,
yeah.
I kind of just want them to recast.
Right.
And, like, you know, we have 3 stages of Luke's, right? We have the Luke in the original trilogy.
Farm boy Luke, yes.
Yeah. We have Luke in the sequels, and then there's this nebulous period where you could say, hey, he's aged up a bit. He might look a little different, but, you know, you get a white boy, you put him in a wig, you mess his nose up a little bit. That's Luke. Like,
yeah, that's true. Hard. That's true. I feel like, you know, I wonder how much Mark Hamill is in this as opposed to before. Because I know that, like, they didn't just deep fake Mark Hamill, they deep faked another actor. But they had Mark Hamill stand in the original shoot. So I wonder how much Mark Hamill's here, because I want Hamill's performance.
Right.
Like, I want Hamill to play Luke because I feel like he'd have a lot to offer. The problem is he can't, and his voice is shot, and there's no way he could do it. And the other thing that's funny for me is, you know, this algorithmic speech-to-text bullshit Luke voice. It's not good, but you could just get a voice actor to do it. And I don't think it should be Hamill, because I remember in one of the Dark Forces sequels, it might have been Jedi Outcast 1 or 2, but they got Mark Hamill to come back to play Luke in that game, and he's terrible.
Right.
Like, he doesn't sound like Luke, and he's only like 5 years removed from the movies. So I'm like, what is happening? Like, why do you sound so bad? So he couldn't play Luke like 15, 20 years ago. So just get somebody now, you know, to do, because I feel like you've nailed the face. Now just change the voice.
And that's the thing, is like the biggest issue is like with the text to speech stuff, like however they're doing it. I'm sure Disney has their own proprietary fork of this, just like they do with the face replacement. But you can't teach it acting yet. Like, you can, and that's the thing about, like, deepfakes are so visual, and they're pulling from so many sources that you're just telling it to imitate something. But also, like, deepfakes aren't just creating a face out of nothing. It's replacing it. And the technology just isn't there yet to because, like, he says everything, but it's all incredibly flat. And there are certain words where it sounds like Mark Hamill. It's like, oh, we're right back, you know, at Return of the Jedi. But then he just keeps talking, and there's just, like, no inflection. Like, when he's talking to Ahsoka, it's so strange.
Well, him talking to Grogu, it's like, this is what I want. Like, when he's talking about Yoda, I'm like, this is really cool, and it should be much more satisfying than it is. So, you know, like, we'll get it right the next time. You know, we'll get a voice actor this time, but, like, the voice is distracting. But I think it also kind of suits the story, because I was really excited to see Luke Skywalker, Jedi Master, running the school, because I would hope he did it differently than the, like, impetus, like, or than the, like, impotent eunuchs that were running the Jedi Council before, and he's not. And he has Ahsoka there, who, like, literally quit because it was so, like, lame, and she's like, "You're doing great, so long." Like, that's it. Like, really? Like, when we got to the end, and I know we're skipping around, but, like, when we got to the end and he gave Grogu the choice, I'm like, you're just doing it again. And I know that, like, the sequels that sucks. I'm like, oh, get bent. Like, we're doing this again? That sucks.
That's, like, I don't love because for whatever reason, like, there's such, like, a huge emphasis in Star Wars about how the Jedi work a certain way. And interestingly, the second, like, expanded universe started to become a thing, everybody was like, that's boring. Let's talk about gray Jedi. Let's talk about, like, you know, all of the in-between. Let's talk about Force users who aren't Jedi. And that's so much more interesting.
Well, for me, the Force is so important to the mythos of the Star Wars universe, but I'm done with Jedi. I've been done with Jedi. And every time, like, and no surprise Dave Filoni directed this one because he's world building, he's using his favorite character, and like, but like the second the Jedi show up, it's just like, let's just hit the freaking brakes on any fun and momentum that this is, so that we can talk about like these creepy cultists and their bogus religion, because at this point we've got 3 trilogies of the Force. And all of them are, and only one of them has the Force actually be fun and interesting. The rest of the time, it's like, oh, it's a heavy responsibility. Got a lot of baggage, a lot of BS to put up with, and it's like, oh, well then I guess Jedi are just lame.
Yeah, and that's like the prequels especially. Like, you want to. The message is that if you don't stick to the Jedi Order ways very specifically, you're going to become like the greatest villain in the galaxy. Like,
I don't even know what the alternatives are, honestly. Like when they're present, and I don't care about the what they say later. I'm talking about like in the context of those movies, like in the prequel trilogy. What is the alternative here? It's usually just like, we'll turn our backs on you. Like it's ostracization. Like it's just being rude, where they're like, oh, you're not gonna blah. And it's like, I don't know. It's just, and I know that like everyone's gonna be like, oh, but it's supposed to be like that. That's how they fall, is because they're so human. Like,
right.
The Jedi that were presented in the original trilogy were not the Jedi we got.
Right. And I think that's like, it is interesting. Like, you could make a very strong argument that this is the way that Luke would go. But I think eventually, he should go on a different path, just because he's young. Like, I get it. Like, he wants to just claw to what he was taught and what he believes is the right thing to do. But like, it's disappointing and a little frustrating to see him just do it again.
Yeah,
doing it again, no different.
I could see them going like, this is it. You're supposed to be frustrated. You're supposed to be annoyed, and Grogu will pick the armor and be like, "This is lame, what you're doing," and no one's interested. And if you plan on if you plan on getting like students, you better like dangle more than a lightsaber in front of them to recruit them. Because like when Obi-Wan gets Luke to fall in line, or at least follow him, like he shows him, lets him play with a lightsaber. Lightsabers are obviously the biggest recruiting tool in the Jedi Order, and it doesn't work. What works? Showing him a pretty lady on a hologram. That's what gets Luke to go. He goes, I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. Oh, she needs your help. Not like, oh, by the way, if you want to join me, don't forget you have to cut off your penis and not have any relationships with women. Like, there's like that is like, right? Like, I need him to come with me. Like, I need Yogo to stay with me. Like, attachments. No one says anything about attachment until the prequels.
Yeah, 100%. It's annoying.
So annoying.
Like
anyway.
that's the point where it's like, all right, we're gonna turn the Jedi are like this mysterious organization filled with wizards, but also they're like a weird religious asexual cult, and it's like, okay,
yeah, they're fundies, and it's like, oh, great, cool. Can we not do that? Because like children are putting on robes and playing with lightsabers, and it's like, don't give them this like, oh, I really want to be a Jedi. What is it all about? Oh, well, forgo all attachments and like, I know that's like the lesson. The lesson, I guess, if there's anything, I don't believe there is, because I don't think George has like an understanding of subtext. But like the lesson of the prequels trilogy is that like they're wrong.
Yeah, it should be.
Right.
But nobody learns from it.
Yeah, they're wrong, and they're so wrong that one of them, who just really, really wants to have sex, kills all of them.
Yeah, murders everyone.
Yeah. So, but like the Jedi stuff, I feel weird. Like I was kind of excited to see Ahsoka and Luke interact, and again, it's like Filoni's like saving all this stuff for something else. Yeah. Like she's there, and she's like, "Hey, vague stuff. Maybe you'll see me again." And it's like, you haven't done anything now, man.
The interesting thing is like you could very easily, I feel like, with their interaction, because Ahsoka says so much like your father, and that's like how maybe their interaction ends.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've probably been talking and we haven't seen it, but I could also see that as like, that is their way to say, hey, we know the technology isn't here for this to be a satisfying interaction.
So we'll save it for later.
Yeah, we'll save it for later. This is like something that's coming, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
it would be cool,
which is a little annoying, but also
yeah.
It's also like I get it. Like I honestly at this point would if they're refusing to recast Luke and they really believe in this technology so much, like just make Ahsoka train Grogu, please. Put her in that role. She doesn't have to go on to be in 3 sequel movies. No. She can do whatever she wants. They can do whatever they want with that character. So.
They keep doing that. Like, she keeps popping up in other shows and then being like, I'm really important. Like,
yeah.
I fully expect if we ever go back to this island, if we go back to these Jedi again, Hayden Christensen will appear as a Force ghost. I have no doubt in my mind.
I mean, the Obi-Wan show will definitely be indicative of that. Because he's in that, isn't he?
He's in it. They cast him. Yeah. He's Vader. And it's like, cool. You know that, like, they first meet in A New Hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
It'll be something.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So, anyway.
The Mandalorian stuff is
all
cool,
the Luke stuff. Yeah, the Mandalorian stuff, a lot of fun. He's still such a solid character. Yep. And, you know, I really enjoy he clearly just wants to be a father to Grogu, but also wants to just do what's best for him.
Right. Like, he's a good person who's conflicted and is like, I love him being like, I came all this way. Like, he's right there.
Like, come on, man. He's like, I can see him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the last thing that I want to mention, then we can talk more specifics, is friggin' Cad Bane shows up at the end of this episode.
Once I saw like the silhouette, I'm like, they put Cad Bane in the show.
I went, no way.
Yeah, and I gotta tell you, man, like I remember when they introduced Cad Bane, and I was like, this is a cool looking character. Like, this is a cool looking dude, and I like him a lot. I would love to see him in live action, and then we do, and he looks awesome.
He looks sick.
He looks sick, and I'm like, yep, put him in this show and have him fight Boba Fett. I am so on board for this. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Dude, like if you guys don't know who, like, I mean, if you've seen the episodes, you know who Cad Bane is now, but like if you don't know who Cad Bane is, go watch the Clone Wars, because he's fantastic in that.
Right? He's a great character, and I finally put together, like, he's one of those blue guys in the cantina scene in A New Hope, and I'm like, oh my god, he's one of those guys. That's awesome. And great voice, really cool, like, and he looked, I don't know if it's a blend of CG and prosthetics, but like he looked like a puppet, but like a really good puppet.
Yeah,
like,
he looks great.
He looks better than the Nemoidians when they first show up in Phantom Menace, and it's like, hey, puppets! And then they, like, their lips don't match what they're saying, and I'm like, oh, no!
Oh, no.
Literally, 1999, I'm in the theater, they start talking, I'm like, oh, no! We're in trouble! No, Cad Bane, like, his lips matches what he's saying, and he sounds dope, and he's a cool trick shot, and he's got his great look. They shot it like a Western, I'm like, that's what we want. Mm-hmm. That's why he's wearing that hat, because he's a Western villain. Yep. Awesome. Finally. Sweet. Okay, I'm in.
Now this is what I'm calling now. This show's going to end. You know how Mandalorian Season 2 surprise ending, the Book of Boba Fett title? This is going to end with the Book of Cad Bane.
I think it's going to be the Book of Cad Ezra. Bane show. And freaking Ezra's going to show up at the end or something. Oh, no. One of those other rebels.
Haven't seen much of that show. That wouldn't surprise me, though.
The Book of Chopper.
The Book of Chopper. Oh, no.
Walk.
Sabine's going to come back and be like, hey, that's my Darksaber.
That'd be okay. Sabine's I liked all of the Rebels. Anyone in the Rebels, I like them. I'm like, yep, you're all good.
I've seen like a season of the show, and I don't dislike any of those characters.
That's the thing, right? Like I've seen, it goes off the rails. Once Holocrons and Darth Maul get involved, I'm like, all right.
Yeah. I heard that Holocrons like show up, and that's like, really again, important. My Star Wars The Old Republic brain is like, Holocrons!
Yeah,
come on, man.
Exactly. But you know what's funny? Like they did that even in the comic books, like
of course.
Like one of the biggest ones from Dark Horse, like the Emperor's like, oh, here's a holocron, and I'm like, oh no. Like these holocrons, man. Everyone loves it. Didn't I collect holocrons in a video game?
Right. That's all they are.
Yeah. But yeah, so Cad Bane, thumbs way up.
Solid. Yeah, way to go for, like, you know, they're doing that a lot in the show. I feel like this show definitely has just turned into a staging ground, because it's and just like a backdoor. So we have Chrysanthemum in here.
Yeah.
They threw the BD droid in there. We've got Cad Bane in here now.
Now I've got it. I know exactly how they're going to Book of Boba Fett end this show. We're going to get Dr. Aphra.
Oh, yeah. That would be big.
That would be a big, reveal.
That would be very cool.
I think we're getting
I would be down for that. I feel like that's a tough one to sell because, she'd have to show up with her droids because Dr. Aphra,
it would be with the droids.
It would need to because Dr. Aphra herself, if you don't know who Dr. Aphra is, it's just some lady. But her droids are sick.
But evil 3PO and Anthony Daniels play him.
That would be great.
Give him something fun to say.
Totally. Anyway, yeah, that would. I don't know how they're gonna because there's one more episode left, and they did. I think they played this smart where I remember last episode I was talking about how we're probably just gonna get at least half of another Mandalorian episode.
You called it, man.
And then because they don't have enough story for a big finale, trade war thing. So I still don't I don't know what they're gonna do. It's probably just gonna be one big fight scene.
I hope so. That'd be cool. I'd be okay with that.
That that's all that I feel because that's what they're building up to. Because now they've got their foot soldiers, they've got their big action figures, and you just gotta throw them all at each other. And the Cad Bane, very important now that I'm thinking about it, because the Syndicate didn't have really anyone, and now Cad Bane's here, which who knows, maybe the rest of his little bounty hunter troop is there too.
Oh my god.
And that's their action figures. That'd be very cool.
I'd be okay with that. Just a big ridiculous war in the sands of Tatooine. I'd be okay with that.
That's fine by me.
Right? Especially because we saved a lot of money by just having them stand around. And there are a lot of droids though.
A lot of this episode.
There's a lot of CG, so I don't know. But poor Boba Fett, man. He became second fiddle in his own damn show.
Is he gonna ride the Rancor?
Yeah, I think he's gonna ride the Rancor.
He
better ride that Rancor. We haven't seen no payoff on that Rancor, but we had 1.5 Mandalorian episodes instead. So I'm sure they had plans with that Rancor, and they were like, "Nah, we'll hang on to it."
Yeah, that's the weird thing is there's so much that I wanted to criticize this episode for because when they cut to Luke, I'm like, this is a Boba Fett show.
Okay, we all were happy to see Mandalorian in the last episode, but now we got to get back on track. And they're like, no.
And they're like, no. Which, I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. But if I really enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, I'd be
pretty pissed. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't think anyone is. So,
no.
It worked out great. But I'm telling you, man, I really, really, really want it to be satisfying. I want to have Boba Fett be the godfather of the Star Wars universe. I want, Black Chrysanthemum to be, cool and noteworthy and... just reestablish what Star Wars is now, because Boba Fett's in Jabba's palace. He's wheeling and dealing. Where the hell is the Alliance? They have 2 ships orbiting the planet, and they're and they're spice traders and a turf war. I don't know. If I were the optimistic Alliance, I'd go down there and be first of all, there are no more syndicates. We run this place now. This is a planet within the system, and we have a duly appointed representative who is an elected official. And if they're corrupt, then they have been impeached, and we're going to replace them with a member of the Alliance. We're going to raise Jabba's palace to the ground or turn it into a museum or something. That's it. That's the end of it.
Right.
I'm just shocked that they're just we're just checking tags out in front of on the outside of the planet, but meanwhile there's literal spice traders just zip-zopping all over the place. I mean, there's only 4 cities in this whole planet, and they're all pretty lame.
I do love that it really seems like the only thing that they do is pull over the Mandalorian, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, that seems pretty in keeping. I mean, they're police officers.
Traffic stops. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
All right. So we still haven't seen a physical book yet.
No book, but I was also wrong. It was not a ball.
It wasn't a ball, yeah, but it was armor. It wasn't a helmet, though, which I'm kind of glad about.
That would have been very silly.
I saw a few people saying chainmail in Twitter and stuff, and I think that makes sense. That's what it is. It's chainmail.
Yeah. It's light as a feather and as hard as dragon scales.
Yeah. And I think that's, you know, I'm pretty sure that's the direction that he's going to go in. I would love if, like, Grogu took the chainmail and then, like, stole the lightsaber. I was just like, screw you, man.
Yeah.
And then left.
F this place. This lame, stupid place.
Yeah.
Really? I'm the
also,
only
I don't
one?
want him to have a lightsaber.
Yeah, I don't want any more. Well, I mean, he is already flipping and stuff, so whatever.
Right. That was the part where I was like, stop making him flip.
I
don't want him to
it's
jump.
Already established. He's got to jump and flip and stuff, right?
He's just Yoda again. He doesn't have to be.
He's Yoda Man.
No.
So yeah, that's that. I don't know. I really just wanted a show, and I got like at least 1.5 seasons of it, where it's just folk with guns and no force, and you know, I need these Jedi to go away and be in their own movies instead of like infecting our shows about like bounty hunters and.
That's fair. People. I think it's really like I'm okay with the Force. I'm less okay with Jedi, and I think that's why I'm hoping Grogu picks he goes with the Mandalorian, and he's just like he's the first example that we see in Disney canon. Well, not the first, because I'm sure there's stuff in the comics and Clone Wars and stuff. But like a good example of like, okay, this is a Force user who's just a guy, and is, you know, I think that would be very cool.
I agree, but at the same time, I'm also kind of hesitant to have Grogu rejoin the Mandalorian, because everyone's like, just get back with the Mandalorian, and I'm like, that's just the same thing, you know? Like, we crescendoed into Grogu going with the Jedi, because like that's where he's supposed to go. Having Grogu rejoin, it feels like it's going backwards. You know, like Mando's got the Darksaber, he's going, he has to rule Mandalore or whatever the hell their plan is. I don't know, but like I would like to see that, like treating Mandalorian like Aragorn, where it's like you are the rightful heir of Mandalore, you wield the Darksaber, you have to go, and it's like, I'm just gonna be a bounty hunter in there, and like he keeps running into important people who are like, you have to go, you have to leave, like you can't be a regular guy. I mean, like that would be interesting, but him being with Grogu, being like, hey Grogu, here's another ball, haha, like I don't know, it feels like it's just the same old thing, like just keep going.
I think, like, metatextually, though, him choosing the Jedi would also be sort of backsliding. So there's... I think him going with Ahsoka and Ahsoka doing something different because she does not like the Jedi, I think that would be a good direction to go in.
I agree with that. That'd be cool.
Maybe that's what the Ahsoka show is. We don't know.
Well, I don't know if you didn't see a lot of Rebels, but they introduced the idea of time travel, so...
of course they do.
we could undo the sequel trilogy, and
I'd be okay with that.
Me too. I feel like we need to do it again, and just literally just get the whole cast back together. Just try again. Just try again. One more time. I was like 20% sure they were going to redo the prequels after Disney acquired it. So I'm like, all right. So you screwed up. That's fine. It happens. Try again. Yeah, cool. This is fun though. I had fun watching this. I don't know about you, but it was like it was fun.
Same. I like the episode. I like the show overall. Hopefully next week it can end off on a bang.
Yeah.
We'll see where we go from there.
Can you imagine? How many episodes had Boba Fett get into a Bacta tank and have flashbacks, and then like suddenly Luke Skywalker is on another planet, doesn't even say Boba Fett, he's dealing with Grogu.
Not in a million years did I think this is where the show is going.
That's not what this show is. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just not. We just don't want to do that. It's just they don't want to give me that much of a budget to do an Ahsoka show yet.
This is just like episodes whatever of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, of the Star Wars.
Who cares what it's called?
On CW.
Yeah. Right. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been Absolutely Marvel in DC. Stay tuned next week for the big finale to the Book of Boba Fett. I'm Dylan, that's Sal. Catch y'all later.